welcome back to the Mad Spideyverse. I'm Mad Spidey, and thank you for tuning into my channel. I've decided to come up with a series of videos entitled Artist Series. This will be my first episode in this series. I basically decided that since I have a decent amount of original art, mainly commissions, I do have a couple of pages and other bits and pieces you would put into the series that would be art, but I'll mainly focus on my original art, mainly being my commissions. What I'll basically be doing is either focusing on a specific artist that I might have multiple pieces for, or I may do a group series that may entail maybe like American artists or European artists or particular countries. I might even do an Australian artist series, as I do have quite a few pieces from Australian artists. The first episode today though will be focusing on a good mate of mine who is a professional comic artist. His name is David Yardin. Mainly you'll know him from mainly the X books, so X Factor, X-Men. He has done DC and a few independent bits and pieces, but he's mainly known for X-Men series books. I've known David since, I'd say probably 2011, 2012. I first met him at a convention here in Melbourne. Over the years, we've become really good mates. I've got quite a few pieces from him, so I thought in this series, this is probably the best way to start it, as I do have quite a few pieces. Now, also I'd like to add that in these videos, some will be a little bit longer than others, depending on the artist or the topic that I decide to choose, but we will see how it goes anyway. So, we might as well start with my first ever piece from David. This was back in, I think, 2011, 2012, and this was actually my first ever convention sketch as well. Now, when I first started doing or getting con sketches commissions, I decided to go for characters that were the actual artist was more known for. So obviously David being known more for X-Men sort of characters, the first couple of pieces you will see will be of X-Men characters. Obviously over the years went by, I decided that because my main love is Spider-Man, that I decided to shift my focus to all Spider-Man characters for all original art. Now, you will see the progression over the years, but I'll explain that as I go in each video anyway. So, without further ado, I will bring out my first piece, which, as I mentioned, was my first ever convention sketch of Wolverine. So this was done in, I think, it was either 2011 or 2012. As you see, David does do most of his commission stuff in Copic markers. Now, this being really early, you'll see the natural progression as well, that he gets a lot better over time as well. Like, not that he was ever not that good. David is an awesome artist, and you know, he is a great mate of mine. So, but that is my first ever convention sketch that I ever got, and that was done here in Melbourne of Wolverine. Now, the other thing I will also note is that I didn't know he actually did colours. Whether it was, once again, a natural progression that he started experimenting with colours, but it wasn't until a little bit later, a few years later actually, that I found out that he did do a lot of stuff in colours. But yeah, you'll see that when the pieces go along anyway. So yeah, that is the Wolverine piece done, and my first ever convention sketch. So the next one, once again, it's another X-Men character. I try not to double up characters with artists as well. Like, I'm not going to get two Spider-Mans from the same artist. I may get like a Peter Parker Spider-Man and a Miles Morales Spider-Man from the same artist, but obviously not two of the same character. So the next one is a Psylocks piece. You can see there's a little bit of colour in there. but mainly done in what they call, I think it's cool and warm grayscale Copics. This was done in 2013, another convention sketch. As you can see, very nice looking Psylocks there. There's the whole piece. So yeah, a little bit of colour added into it, just for a bit of highlights. Next piece, I decided now both of those were done on 11 by 14. Then I found out, once again a little bit later, that he actually did 11 by 17. Not quite often at conventions, because obviously it's a little bit harder to do a full Copic market piece on 11 by 17 in what we have. We only have 2-day shows here in Australia, but quite often, yeah, Dave will actually smash them out when he puts his mind to it. So the next piece is a Sabertooth. Once again in grey, sort of light, and it's cool and warm. I'm not quite sure on the terminology with the Copic markers, but that is an 11 by 17 full figure piece, Sabertooth. A little bit sort of closer to the detail in his hair and in his mane. It's really cool. And this was, you know, one of my favourite pieces early in the day. This was done in 2014. So you'll see a natural progression as well in years, where I pretty much got nearly a piece from Dave every single year I saw him at a convention. So, yeah, that's a very nice detailed full figure 11 by 17 piece. Now the next piece is when the colour starts. So we're talking, this was 2014 as well. This was a little bit later in the year. Now I did organise a piece with him prior to the show. I decided that once I found out, because another mate of mine who organised a colour piece actually told me about it. So I organised a pre-show piece, which he didn't quite get finished before the show, but he finished off during the show. And you'll see now 11 by 17 full colour Green Goblin. This is also when I started doing the sort of the Spider-Man sort of theme. You see some of the details in the face and on the glider. So that's 11 by 17 full figure colour. So that was, so once you'd finished that was awesome. And then I also decided, even though that was, 2014 was roughly around the time I decided to stick to Spider-Man, but I did get a few pieces that were non-Spider-Man related. And it was probably more like 2015, 2016, I really just focused on Spider-Man. But Dave quite often has a folder, like a lot of artists do when you see them at conventions. They basically have some art for sale, prints, things like that. Now, this was a smaller piece. This is only a 9 by 12 piece, but I saw it. It's not one of my favourite characters, but just the detail in the hair and the face really made me want to buy it. And it was, Dave gave me a good price on it. So there's a bishop, just a bust, 9 by 12. As you can see, just the detail in the face and the hair. I just saw it and I went, even though, as I said, even though he's not one of my favourite characters, it's still a Marvel character, still an X-Men character, which I also like. I just pulled the trigger. Even though I'd already spent all my money on that bigger Green Goblin piece, I just saw that and went, I have to have it. So I did. So 2014 was a really good year for me and David, as I bought 3 pieces from him. Basically every piece after that, I pretty much bought basically 1 per year, because I wanted obviously other people to get chances to get original art as well. So the next piece we got is from 2015. Now once again, this was one organised prior to the convention. but Dave didn't get enough time to actually finish it, so he decided he was going to stay in Melbourne for a couple of weeks afterwards, so he actually got it finished, and then I actually went and met up with him and picked it up from him directly. And you can see the results when you wait just that little bit extra. Full colour silk. Pull that back a bit, give you the full picture of that. And even just the webbing just stands out, that bright red. But yeah, just the detail that he puts into things with the Copic markers is just ridiculously good. Yeah, that was 2015. As I said, is when I really decided to focus on Spider-Man based characters. Yes. So yeah, one of my favourite pieces from Dave. Following year, 2016. Now this was done fully in the convention, so there's not as much detail, but still an awesome piece, all the same. It's Mysterio. Even just the smoke effects down the bottom there. He makes it look so simple, but it just looks so effective. Just a reflection on his chrome dome. So, yeah, pull that out to give you a full shot. Yeah, so basically once I'd found out that he was doing 11x17 after the first couple, I just stuck with that size. Obviously costs a lot more, but I do like the bigger pieces and the full figure pieces. So the next one is a bit of an interesting one as well. This one I've actually shown on Comic Book NYC on Carvey's channel. I went on for one of his original Art Hour episodes. He asked me to obviously bring a few pieces, things like that, but this is one of the pieces that got one of the most attention, and it also did when Dave released this onto his social media platforms. This piece was actually organised in late 2016. Bit of a personal story behind it, but I won't get into that because that's not my place to say. But let's just say that I just said to Dave, this is what I want. Here's the money, just give it to me whenever. We're great mates now. I trust him. We'll just go ahead and, just do what you want to do, and then just give it to me whenever it's ready. So it happened to be, that was done in, I think, late 2016. So once 2017 rolled up, the first convention in Melbourne was, I think, April or May. And Dave messaged me and said, your piece is ready. A lot of people were saying to me at the convention, we saw what think is your piece, and it looks absolutely amazing. It looks more like a print than it does an original. And I'm like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? And I went up to Dave and I basically said, g'day mate, the usual sort of greeting, how's things? And he goes, I've done your piece for you, and this is what happened. As you can see, he went above and beyond like nothing else. So that's the full piece. Just get into a bit closer. Just the amount of detail that he put into this is just absolutely ridiculous. Even just the freshly killed carcass at the bottom there. Yeah, as I said, it'd have to be in my top 5 pieces easily. Yeah, that's the Craven piece, and sometimes patience really does pay off, and also helping out mates can also pay off, especially in this community, the YouTube community, the Instagram community. Comic book community in general seems to be a very giving place. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I may have been in and around in the sort of the backstage, I would say, of this sort of community, and now I'm obviously with the channel, I'm coming to the forefront. But yeah, it's a very good community. I'm very blessed to be part of it. So only one final piece to come. Now this was done, or should I say, this was organised in probably mid to late 2018. Just happened to be my 40th birthday in 2019. My better half actually contacted Dave, as she's become good friends with him as well. And she basically said, can you do a piece for me for my birthday, for my 40th birthday? And I had absolutely no idea this was happening. Usually I'm the sneaky one when it comes to presents, but she actually got me really good on this one. So Dave basically said, yep, I'm more than happy to do so. And on my birthday, she revealed this. So once again, it just made I'm not one for birthdays much, but yeah, this really blew me away. As you can see it, there's the happy birthday Simon up there, with the 40 sort of big vinyl balloons with all the shiny accents and things like that on there, and SpiderMan in the background. Everything is tingling. And then even the cake. So yes, that was it was a very big surprise for me to be able to get this for my 40th birthday. So if Dave ever watched this, thank you once again, Dave, for all your friendship and all the great art over the years, the great conversation. But yeah, so this is my first in my art series, I'd say collection. Depends on how much I get through as to how many episodes there will be and how many pieces I do per episode. But once again, thank you for watching. Don't forget, please hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. Hit that thumbs up button, that would be greatly appreciated. And that's it for me. Enjoy the rest of your day.